Greetings, fellow humans. Katrina here. Quick disclaimer, I'm a professional, not your professional. Nothing I'm about to say should be taken as medical, legal, or otherwise advice. This podcast is purely for education and amusement. That is it. Disclaimer over. So today I thought I'd talk about what I don't know about Switzerland since I went there recently. I figured I'd tell you whereabouts I went in Switzerland, and then a bit of history about the Chapel Bridge and Tower in Lucerne, Switzerland. And I will say that I will butcher some of these names because my pronunciation isn't that great, but I will do my best. So, one of our first days there, we took a 9-hour trip around the Jungfrau area of Switzerland. First, we started off in Lauterbrunnen. That's where we were staying. We walked to a place called Trumbelbach Falls, where we took a lift, which is what they call elevators. We took a lift up to, I would say, 2 or 3 stories high, and we got to see waterfalls inside the mountain. It was really cool. Some of it was slightly deafening, got a lot of cool pictures and videos. And from there, we walked back down the side of the mountain, but it had stairs, so it wasn't a terrible trek. And then from there, we took a bus to a town called Steckelberg. Totally saying that wrong, but that's okay. And from there, we took a gondola, and a gondola is not the thing that you might think of immediately, which is in Italy, I think. They have those boats that are called gondolas, but this isn't what I'm talking about. I'm talking about a cabin on a suspended ski lift. So not like the ski lift where your legs are dangling off, but it's like an elevator, and that elevator has all the straps and stuff. Anyway, we took gondolas up to see Gimmelwald. Gimmelwald was this little tiny town, walking only. And we walked a long circle, and part of that was up a really steep hill. Definitely had to take some breaks. And then we got to shop at this honesty shop. So the honesty shop is based on the honor system. You write down what you take, you write down how much is inside the envelope, and then you put the envelope inside of this lockbox, and that's how you, and then you just take your item. So that was pretty cool. We stopped by a place called Murin, and more about that later. Then a top of one of the mountains called Berg. That was gorgeous. And then the very top of the mountain that we went to that day was Schilthorn. So Schilthorn was an awesome mountaintop. And we ate at a restaurant that was based on 007 because I forget which one of those films, but one of those 007 films was shot there in Switzerland. And so I had a burger with the 007 stamped into it. It was cool. And the restaurant was spinning. So as you're seated, it's slowly rotating. So you get a 360 view of the mountaintop. That was pretty cool. Then we took gondolas down to Murin again for coffee. So in Murin, there was a lot of construction going on, but it was still gorgeous. And from there, we took a train to Grushelp. I know I'm not saying that right. And from there, we hopped on a gondola back to Lauterbrunnen for the evening. Another one of the days, we took gondolas up to see the top of Europe. And the top of Europe is also known as Jungfraujoch. And if you think of young as like the old psychologist guy, how he spells it, Jung. I think the J's are pronounced like Y's. So Jungfraujoch. Probably still not saying it entirely accurately, but that's okay. It was awesome to see the snow at the top of the mountain, and it was awesome to have hot cocoa up there at the top. And so back to Lauterbrunnen. Lauterbrunnen is where we spent a lot of the time, the first 3 days there in Switzerland. It was gorgeous, and we took a lot of pictures, and it was actually pictures from Lauterbrunnen that inspired the trip to begin with. So from Lauterbrunnen, we went to a town called Lucerne. It was maybe a 3-hour train ride away, and we were in Lucerne for a few days. Our hotel actually overlooked the famous Chapel Bridge. So Lucerne is especially well known for its bridges. Today, the Chapel Bridge runs from the new town on the southern bank of the Reuss, that's the river, to the Rathsosquai, definitely saying that wrong, in the medieval Old Town, and it zigzags as it passes the impressive water tower. So Lucerne's landmark is considered to be the Europe's oldest covered bridge. It was built in 1332. Wow, that is a long time ago. And it was originally part of the city fortifications. The pictorial panels, which were incorporated in the 17th century, contain scenes of Swiss history. And it was all in German, so I couldn't read any of that, but it was really pretty to look at all the pictures. It also includes Lucerne's history, including the biographies of the city's patron saints, Saint Leodegar and Saint Maurice. So Lucerne's water tower is a powerful yet attractive construction. It's an octagonal tower. It's over 34 meters high, which is 111 and a half feet. It was built around 1300, so that's even before the bridge was constructed. So it was built around 1300 as part of the city wall and used as an archive, treasury, prison, and torture chamber. Today, the middle floor is actually home to the headquarters of the Lucerne Artillery Association. And meanwhile, a colony of alpine swifts has been roosting under the rooftop for decades. When these black and white birds return from their winter home in Africa, they bring springtime back to Lucerne. That's not what was there when we were there, because we were there in September of 2022, and what we saw were bats coming in and out of the tower. All right, so I told you a bit about where I went and some stuff about the chapel, bridge, and tower. I do hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you want to support the show, click the button on the website, and I appreciate you all simply for existing.